trust is a foundation for every relationship. If you think through that lens, that there are practical, really concrete ways to increase trust, maintain trust, and then at the beginning of relationships to build trust. And I've got 4 ideas for you on this. My name's Dr. Matt Eschler. I'm bringing to you the counseling experience, and this is just a counseling moment for you to enjoy. Take some notes on these 4 arenas. First thing, it's especially important. This one's like so big inside of relationships, especially long-term relationships. When a person just kind of speaks off the cuff sometimes we say things we don't really mean. Sometimes we have to reel it back in. Or there are those of us that think out loud. You know, some people think and process internally and they plan everything out and then they say it right. Other people speak and they talk and talk and talk. And then by the time they're done talking, they've figured out what they actually wanted to say. And so you have to know a little bit about who you are and who your partner is, who the person you're trying to increase trust with is. But if you just nail down those few things, like understand how you process information, but at the very end, when the communication's over, say what you mean and mean what you say, and then follow through. Super important to follow through on promises, follow through on keeping your word. Now, I want to caution all of you couples out there. Super easy to give your word to your family, your spouse, your kids, and then all of a sudden you're out there in the world and you're moving along and you're going quick and you're promising other things. And next thing you know, you've got things in conflict and you say to yourself, well, my wife will understand. Or, my husband will understand. He knows that I've got this important stuff, this other stuff over here. So I'll bail out on that promise to keep this one over here. I want to challenge you to, whoever you made the promise to first is who you keep your word with, or go sit with that person and negotiate a new agreement if it's possible. Don't always assume that your family should just understand and let you out of your promises, because at some point you'll be that person that they can't count on. So say what you mean what you say. And I would challenge you to calendar a little bit, keep a running schedule so that if you were asked for a promise while you're out in the world, you can quick check your calendar and see what you've already committed to. That's always a great idea. A lot of us keep our schedule in our head, and sometimes the world gets ahead of us. So I would challenge you to have a bit of a calendar. Use your phone. Everybody's got a calendar on their iPhone or their Android. Practice honoring and keeping commitments. Communicate your intentions clearly is the second arena of earning trust. When you want to build trust with someone, communicate with them. Communicate clearly. Avoid things like, yeah, that should work, or I think that'll work. Once you know something will work, communicate well, communicate clearly, and make solid foundational commitments. When you do that, you're informing your partner or the person you want to build trust that they matter. You're informing them of what your intentions are, and you're making things work in a very systematic way. They don't have to guess. They don't have to wonder. Have you ever wandered away from a conversation and you're thinking, well, I think we're going to go to the movie this Friday, but they actually just said it's a good idea to go. They didn't actually say we are going to go. So be clear with your intentions with each other and then follow through on what you were clear about. This third one and the fourth one is about accountability. So all of you out there that are listening to me right now, this might be one of the more difficult processes in relationships, especially if you've got a little bit of ego running you or pride running you. I want to challenge you to admit to your mistakes. It's really like inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. We all have a heavenly Father or a God or a higher power that dropped us somehow onto this earth, and he, our higher power, knew that this earth was filled with naughty stuff, filled with mischief, filled with messes. It's fast-paced. Things are happening all the time, and he knew we were going to make mistakes. So it's inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. As you make mistakes, the strong, brave of you will just own them. You'll just be accountable for them. You'll look people in the eye and you'll say, yes, I did that wrong, and I want to apologize to you for that. Or I did this wrong, and I want to make it up to you. Or I did that wrong. What can I do to make it up? The idea about making mistakes and owning them means that you value the relationship, you value the person that you're with, and you're not letting your ego get in the way, or you're not projecting blame on the other person. You're not trying to wiggle out of stuff. You're basically telling them that they're important enough for you to sit with and clear up and make right things that you've done wrong. So admit to your mistakes, let your partner know that you will admit to your mistakes, and create a culture of ownership and accountability within the relationship. Now, you can't own the other person's mistakes for them. You have to allow that person to come to that place where they'll admit it to you. And then the fourth area of building trust is always tell the truth. There are times when telling the truth is uncomfortable, and there's times where white lies seem to be a way to get out of a confrontation, or a way to get out of uncomfortable situations. And really, you can soften things. You can remember that some things are just your opinion. If your wife asks you if you like this dress, you don't have to say, no, it's an ugly dress. You can say, it's not my favorite dress, or I like these other types or styles better. You can also suggest that everything looks good on her. And honestly, if something doesn't look good, or if it's not flattering, you can talk about that too. And there's nothing offensive about that if you have a culture of honesty within your family, or if you have just this notion that you're going to be clear and direct, and you're going to be upfront with people. You're going to say what you mean and mean what you say. Then telling the truth becomes easy. Being that transparent person in relationship is always giving that other person the opportunity to choose the level of friendship that they have with you. If it's your lover, they get to choose the level and depth of love because they actually know you. And my hunch is that most people, when they really get to know you, will love you. I know there's some of you out there that feel unlovable. I know that there's some out there that feel like that you can't handle confrontation. But there's always a way to, with class and style, manage confrontation. If it's something that you're just super uncomfortable with, maybe own that. Be accountable. I'm super uncomfortable right now. Let me just think about this for a minute, and let's come back together, and I'll talk with you about whatever it is that you're talking about. Like, you don't have to be put on the spot and forced into a confrontation, but you do need to never generate this lie to get out of a confrontation. So always telling the truth is the first step to establishing an honest, trusting relationship. Be transparent in your marriage relationships and in your relationships with family. Admit to your mistakes. Communicate your intentions clearly. And then the first one we talked about is say what you mean and mean what you say, and follow through of stuff. Those are some foundation principles for building trust inside of your relationships. It works with all types of relationships. I mostly talk about marital relationships, and so I want you to understand that that is a great way to build a really healthy, trusting marital relationship. It can be hard. It can be sometimes it can be filled with some moments of tense confrontation that you will get through if you're an honest person with that partner that you're trying to build a relationship with. And it just makes for a long-term, really deep, good, trusting relationship. The intimacy's better, the communication gets better, the well of trust and love gets deeper, and everything else turns out far better if you're just constantly working on that trust-filled relationship. Dr. Matt Eschler here with the Marriage Minute. It's probably longer than a minute, but there you have it. We will see you next episode.